Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wiggins 77. Thank you for joining us. Here at Wiggins 77 True Crime, we discuss a multitude of topics with our primary focus on true crime. We also explore all types of cases, from missing persons, unsolved cold cases, current cases pending in the courts. It is important to us at Wiggins 77 True Crime to not be a contributor to the misinformation highway, but to dispel the myths and present only the facts of each case. Ever wonder why so many criminal cases go unsolved, or why innocent people get convicted for a crime they didn't commit? The answer to these two questions can be complicated according to some. However, the answer is very simple. People involved in the investigation from the start forget three very simple principles. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle so eloquently wrote Sherlock Holmes said, "When you have eliminated all which is impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth." The KISS principle, which is keep it simple, stupid, and the devil is in the details. As we go on this journey to solve the case, collecting clues along the way, please keep these principles in the back of your mind. Now, today, this episode, we're going to talk about a 27-year-old cold case, which occurred in December 1996. This particular case over the years has spawned so much misinformation that was first disseminated by the police to the press and public beginning the very day the crime was discovered. Unfortunately, over the years, people have come to believe this misinformation that has continually been repeated to this day. We are going to replace the myths surrounding this case with the facts supported by factual documentation. Are you wondering what case we are referring to? For those of you who recognize the pictures of the house, yes, the case I am referring to is the murder of 6-year-old Benet Ramsey. For those of you who may not be familiar with this unsolved murder case, this is the short version. Benet was reported missing the morning of December 26, 1996, by her parents, to be later discovered murdered in a room in the basement of the family home just after midday the very day she was reported missing. Please do not do what the incompetent police did in this case, jump to any conclusions prior to gathering the facts. This case would have been solved long ago had the police from the beginning followed the KISS principle, plus the devil is in the details. However, that is not what occurred. The police, in their haste for personal gain, along with the press, the public, and multiple dubious forensics experts, wasted no time in going about casting guilt onto Benet's family with absolutely no basis in fact. So without further ado, let's begin. Now you're most likely thinking, okay, I've seen these pictures of this house. Why doesn't she move along? But you need to be patient. The first myth we're going to dispel is the parents did it, no footprints in the snow. These pictures were taken on December 26th, the day that Benet was reported missing, later found deceased. The first picture is on the left is of the front of the house where you can clearly see snow on the grass, no snow on the sidewalk the police officers are standing on. The next picture is of the side yard of the Ramsey family home. As you can clearly see, there is no snow on the walkways around that side of the house. That walkway goes to the most used side door to the house. Now this next picture I'm going to talk about is the top left one, and I apologize for the grainy picture. It's of the garage and driveway that back onto the back alley behind the house. You see a bit of snow on the driveway along with snow on the grass. However, there's plenty of pavement and walkway to walk on that there is no snow. Now the picture on the top right is of the walkway that goes along the side of the house from the front to the back alley. And again, you can clearly see there is no snow. This picture, if you look straight, you get a glimpse of the back alley. To the right is the walkway to the most used side door, and on the left side of this picture is the side yard where the children most often played. The next picture, bottom left, is of the front walkway to the front door of the house that goes from the front sidewalk you saw in the picture the policeman standing in front of the house. Notice there is no snow on the walkway. There is snow on both sides of the walkway, but none on the walkway itself. Okay, the picture on the bottom right is of what was called the sorry, butler pantry door, which is on the opposite side of the house from all the other pictures you previously saw. You can clearly see there is no snow. It is obvious looking at these pictures, with the majority taken by the police themselves, that anyone could have gained access to the house without leaving footprints in the snow. However, despite this, the police blatantly decided no one could have entered the house without leaving footprints in the snow, thus supporting their theory the parents did it. The decision by police the parents committed the crime was determined within the first 2 hours of Jean Benet being reported missing. This is according to documented police statements. To put the situation into perspective, the crime occurred in 1996. This isn't 1966, where the parents have been called to the Clampett's house, yet again because Ellie Mae has beaten Jethro up with a pool cue. The police were called to the house of a well-liked, well-respected family. The Ramsey family had never dealt with law enforcement prior to their daughter going missing. There had been no prior police interaction with the Ramsey family to base their suspicions or dislike for the Ramsey family on, particularly targeting Mrs. Ramsey. To this day, it boggles the mind as to why the police came to this determination with absolutely no supporting evidence. Within the first 2 hours of Jean-Benet being reported missing, the physical evidence determined that this crime was perpetrated by an intruder and not someone within the Ramsey family home. However, the police chose not to follow the physical evidence, but to follow their narrow-minded view, their supposed gut instinct, if you like. At Wiggins 77, we only deal in fact, not this silly bugger business that the police, the press, along with the dubious forensics experts do. This is fact of what is documented. At 5:52, Patsy Ramsey placed a call to 911 reporting her daughter is missing and fears she is being kidnapped as she has found a note. At 5:59 a.m., Officer Frog. Now, we're not going to use real officers' names, okay? Because we're not into doing that type of thing. We're going to use false names here. Officer Frog arrives later to be accompanied by Officer Ditch. Exact time unknown, as they did not record it. If you are wondering as to the rather odd names of the police officers, I am referencing a well-researched book titled Every Day is a Gift, written in regards to this unsolved cold case. The writer wrote the book as fiction as they changed all the names of the parties involved. However, the evidence presented in the book is very real, supported by actual police interviews, video evidence, the actual autopsy report, along with many other actual forensic reports, plus a whole lot of research. I'm going to use the fictitious names the author used in the book for all parties that were involved in the investigation into the kidnapping and death of Jean-Benet Ramsey for this podcast, as I don't believe there's anything of investigative value to be obtained by using the real names of all the folks involved, with the exception of the innocent Ramsey family. The only reason I'm going to use the real names of the Ramsey family is to avoid confusion. To give you a bit of background into the case, as this will give you proper perspective to interpret the crime scene photos to gather clues. Okay? The next block of time we are going to discuss is from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and the activities that are documented to have occurred during this time frame. Now, proper crime scene management would have a designated officer that records the comings and goings of all persons along with the tasks they perform while at the crime scene. This is crucial in any investigation as this provides an objective, accurate account of the crime scene with no room for supposition, which can prove invaluable to investigators in the future. Okay, this didn't occur in this case, and what you will come to learn is that the law enforcement folks involved that day were less than forthcoming with the facts. In other words, law enforcement told Porky's as to when they were present, exactly what they were doing, and I must say that although law enforcement in this case went on to tell deceptive, misleading Porkies, they were not as proficient at it as the law enforcement officers that investigated the Scott Peterson case. That group of law enforcement officers told more porkies than truth, which we will discuss in a future podcast. Between the hours of 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., we have multiple people arriving at the Ramsey family home. We have John and Patsy Ramsey. Burke, their son, stayed in his room during this time frame, so he's not roaming about. There were 4 friends of the Ramseys, 2 police victim advocates, 1 clergyman, no less than 24 law enforcement officers, with everyone roaming about at will, with no leader in the group of law enforcement officers. The first of those we are going to discuss is CSI Barton, who took the crime scene photographs from approximately 6:50 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. Now remember that time frame, so this will prove crucial in understanding the crime scene. Prior to CSI Burton arriving, you had multiple law enforcement officers, the Ramsey family, the Ramsey's friends, the clergyman, and the 2 police victim advocates all moving about, moving things, doing things that will affect the accuracy of the first crime scene photographs taken in the house that day. In a future episode, we will discuss why the crime scene photographs and crime scene video are not accurate depictions of the crime scene. For this episode, the exterior photographs you see are very close to accurate, as the only people milling about outside were the police. At this point, Benet is missing, feared she's been kidnapped, as she hasn't been found yet. Okay, this is an aerial view of the Ramsey home. This picture was not taken on December 26, 1996. The house orientation is the front door faces the east, while the garage on the opposite end of the house faces west. I'm not certain when this photograph was taken. This photograph depicts where the driveway and back alley are located. This portion of the neighborhood, the houses front onto the main street, while the driveways were only accessible from the back alley that runs parallel to the main street. Most homes on the driveways front onto main streets, and so does the house. In this neighborhood, that is not the case, as the alley is narrow with only room for 1 vehicle to pass through at a time. It would be very easy for anyone to walk amongst the trees and evergreens undetected in the dark, enabling them to gain access to any of the home's backyards along the alley. The police early on decided that due to the supposed no footprints in the snow, the parents were responsible for whatever had happened to their daughter. As to the police way of thinking, there was no possibility of an intruder because there were no footprints in the snow. As you can see for yourself, there is no snow to leave footprints in. However, the police disseminated their belief no footprints in the snow to the press, thus creating the first of many myths regarding this case. The police did this despite taking a statement from Jake Folks, who arrived shortly after 6 a.m. that clearly states the following. He parked his vehicle in the back alley, ran across the driveway and lawn to the garden doors, which were locked. Now, if you look at the photograph on the bottom left, the red arrow is the path that Jake Folks took that day. So the picture on your left is of the driveway, which exits to that back alley that you saw in the aerial picture. I've placed the arrow demonstrating the path that Jake Folks took that morning. This is a crime scene photograph number 99. As you can see, a small amount of snow on the driveway, as well as on the grass to the right there a bit. Please keep in mind that this crime scene photograph was taken sometime between 6:50 a.m. to approximately 9:15 a.m., which is anywhere from almost 1 to 2 hours after Jake ran that path. The other factor to take into consideration is the temperature. The temperature beginning at 5 a.m. on December 26 was 24 degrees Fahrenheit. By 6 a.m., it had risen by 4 degrees to 28 degrees. By 7 a.m. that morning, the temperature had risen again to 32 degrees, reaching a high of 51 degrees at noon. Therefore, the temperature rose approximately 4 degrees per hour. I am not attempting to turn anyone into a weather person. However, it is these details that are important when determining the direction the investigation will go. These types of details are often overlooked, as in this case. Sergeant Recker, who arrived on scene at 6:45 a.m., told other police personnel by phone that he first walked through the house, then walked around the exterior of the house. Sergeant Recker was the first law enforcement officer to determine that there was no intruder as there were no footprints in the snow. Now, later on, Jake Folks, upon reading that statement in the press by an unnamed source in the local newspaper, said if the police had been looking, they would have found his footprints in the snow that morning. After he ran to the garden doors, which were locked, and you see a picture of those on the right-hand side there, he ran through the snow to the front door. Jake also told the reporter that the police, after a year and a half, had not asked to examine the boots he had on that day. What is tragic in this case was the police perception is what drove the direction of the investigation versus following the physical evidence, wherever the evidence will lead. Sergeant Recker's comments, no footprints in the snow, no intruder, validated what some of the other officers on scene had decided. The parents did it, no need to investigate further. We're not going to fall into that trap, allowing our personal opinions to determine guilt or innocence, but we will follow the evidence wherever the evidence leads us. Jake Folks, in his statement to police, gives us the first two clues. Jake Folks' first statement to police the morning of December 26th said he ran to the garden doors first. They were locked. Okay, those are those doors on the bottom right corner there. As Jake arrived at the same time as the first officer on scene and prior to anyone else arriving, which means the garden doors had remained locked throughout the night of December 25th. The second clue is when Jake Folks ran from the garden doors to the front door, he stated he ran through the snow leaving footprints. There are three possibilities why Sergeant Recker did not see any footprints. One is he was not very thorough in looking for footprints. The second is the possibility that any footprints may have disappeared by the time that Sergeant Recker looked around the exterior of the Ramsey home. This is why knowing the weather conditions the night of December 25th through the morning of December 26th is very important. Sergeant Recker arrived almost an hour after Jake Folks ran through the snow. We do not know what time Sergeant Recker actually inspected the interior of the Ramsey home for footprints, as according to Sergeant Recker's statement and conversations with other law enforcement personnel, he stated he spoke to the first officer on scene, read the ransom note, inspected the interior of the Ramsey home, then went out to inspect the exterior. We don't know for certain how long those activities took Sergeant Recker. However, what we do know for fact is the outdoor temperature. So when Jake Folks arrived on scene, the outdoor temperature was 28 degrees. By the time Sergeant Recker arrived on scene almost an hour later, the temperature had risen to 30 degrees, and by 8 a.m., the temperature had risen to 36 degrees as the sun had risen. Therefore, depending on how long Sergeant Recker was inside the Ramsey home, by the time he actually inspected the exterior of the Ramsey home, according to the outdoor temperature recorded by the local Boulder Weather Service, there would be no frost on the ground, and possibly the snow was melting due to the temperature rise along with the heat from the sun. I dare say, due to Sergeant Recker's comments, no footprints in the snow, tells us he isn't a weather chap. I must say I'm surprised this didn't occur to Sergeant Recker, as I myself live in a cold, snowy climate and am not a weather person. But even I know when the temperature rises, especially with the heat from the sun, the frost dissipates quickly and the snow melts very rapidly. The third possibility is as simple as, with the police personnel arriving, wandering about, they inadvertently obliterated any previous footprints, as it is a well-documented fact that none of the law enforcement personnel followed proper protocol that day or any day after that. Any good investigator will listen to what their colleagues tell them. However, they also should have the skill set to separate opinion and fact. Follow the factual evidence and do not decide anyone's guilt or innocence prior to gathering the facts. Now, please put your investigator's hat on. You are on scene, looking at the exterior of the house, and you see that yes, anyone could approach the house leaving no trace. At this point, even before you enter the house, you know that you need to run two parallel investigations. One, investigate the family. The second, and a possible intruder. A good investigator will create two teams. One team to investigate the family, while the other team investigates the intruder. This is so the teams remain focused on factual evidence versus muddying the waters. However, that never occurred in this case. We are going to collect the clues which will determine which team we end up on. Our first clue, we now know that yes, an intruder could approach the house. Therefore, we now need to determine, is it possible for the intruder to actually enter and exit the house? We know for certain the doors that were locked throughout the evening of December 25th to the morning of December 26th. Jake Folks gave us independent confirmation that the garden doors were locked. John and Patsy Ramsey told the first police officer on scene the front door was always locked. The front door had the type of lock that automatically locked when the door closed. You did not need to lock this door manually. The independent confirmation the front door was locked is the type of lock on the door itself. Okay, this is myth number 2. The parents did it, no sign of forced entry. Okay, we've already determined that there's two doors that we know for sure were locked. Okay, here's the third door, the top picture. The south side door to the south side yard was the door the Ramseys always checked, as this was the most used exterior door in the house. The Ramseys confirmed it was locked. Okay, so in that picture you see that, and on the left a glass panel door that enters the garage. It is not known if this door was locked. On the right side of this photograph on the second floor you see the balcony which had a door to Jean Benet's bedroom. It is unknown if this door was locked. Okay, in this photograph, the top photograph of the south side of the house is of the solarium door. This photograph was not taken on December 26th. It is not known if this door was locked. Next, we have a photograph taken from the crime scene video that depicts the inside door to the garage. The Ramseys told police they never locked this door, which is a common practice for most people. This is a photograph of the main garage door that faces west to the back alley. I could not find any documentation to confirm if this door was locked or unlocked, or what type of lock was on this large garage door. If anyone listening knows, please leave your feedback in the comment section, as I myself would very much like to know, as these garage doors seems to be a favorite entry point for your garden variety burglars, as people tend to leave them unlocked, thinking the door is closed, no one will enter. So far, we have determined there are 7 people doors and 1 large garage door, with only 3 of these 8 potential entry points confirmed as being locked the evening of December 25th through to the morning of December 26th. Law enforcement have stated they inspected every door for pry marks or any other signs of forced entry and found nothing to indicate that anyone gained entry into the house through any of those 8 doors. Law enforcement declared the parents did it, no signs of forced entry. I dare say that once again we have the same situation as we had with Sergeant Rucker, who it appears did not have the ability to find footprints in the snow, nor determine the reason why he couldn't find any. Here we have law enforcement declaring, due to no signs of forced entry on any of the doors, there was no intruder into the Ramsey home during the night of December 25th through to the early morning hours of December 26th. I dare state the obvious, that if a door is unlocked, there is no need to use force to open it. It is common knowledge that the Boulder Police Department, along with some of the members of other law enforcement agencies involved in the Benet Ramsey case, did not possess the skill set to investigate the case of a missing cat, never mind the case of a missing then murdered child. No victim, especially a child, deserves the shenanigans the law enforcement personnel engaged in during the investigation into the Benet Ramsey case. Having said that, there is new hope. In 2020, after more than 2 decades of indifference, Boulder Police have a new chief, and it appears with this new chief she is sweeping the place clean, has disciplined several detectives, including one that had worked on the Benet Ramsey case since the very day it occurred. The new police chief has assigned a cold case unit to investigate the Benet Ramsey case. I hope that the new police chief has asked the Longmont Police Department, which is only a 30-minute drive from Boulder, Colorado, if they will lend her Detective Cody Clark, as he is the first Colorado detective I have ever heard that implemented proper investigation skills to solve a missing person case that turned into a murder case. Detective Cody Clark solved the Finding Rita case, which was featured on Dateline not long ago. We wish the cold case detectives all the best in their endeavor to solve the case, as that is the least they could do for Benet and her family. Now back to the case, as the goal here is to solve the case. However, due to the large volume of misinformation and incompetence in regards to this case, in order to avoid falling into the trap that so many investigators have, we must first take time to factually dispel the myths so that we can then focus on following the factual evidence to conclusion. We have the 7 people doors and the 1 large garage door. Sorry there. We know for a fact that 3 of the people doors were locked. However, no one knows for certain if the remaining doors were locked or unlocked. We will put the large garage door aside for now, as I have no supporting reports of any documentation of any kind to support whether the garage door was locked or unlocked. So let us put that in the maybe column for now. We put the balcony door that leads to Benet's bedroom in the maybe column due to there are no trees to climb, so access to that balcony from the exterior of the house would be difficult. A person would need to be very athletic in order to reach the balcony, as there were no ladders lying about on the exterior of the Ramsey home. The inside garage door, the inside door to the garage will go in the maybe column, as this door grants access into the home only if the large garage door is unlocked. This leaves the solarium door and the glass door that enters the garage from the exterior of the house, as well as there is one additional exterior door. This door I saved for last is located on the north side of the Ramsey home and is referred to as the butler pantry door. The first photograph, the top one there, is a crime scene photograph. As you can see, the door as well as there is no snow. The next photograph is a close-up of the butler pantry door. Please have a good look at the doorknob on the door. The doorknob on the door is the type that has the twist lock on the inside of the doorknob on the door, like the type you find in interior bathroom doors. Now keep in mind, in 1996, the majority of the public were still of the mindset they were safe in their homes. There was no need for elaborate door locks and alarm systems like there is today. When investigating any cold case, you need to place yourself back in time, as what seems daft today was normal in 1996. Please share your thoughts in regards to the butler pantry door lock in the comments section. I would very much like to see how many of you have had encounters with this type of door lock. My question to all of you is, have you ever had someone with a bathroom doorknob lock assembly like this that was stuck in the bathroom due to the annoying twisty thing in the lock, wouldn't unlock or lock properly? Have you ever taken a food skewer, those long skinny implements, stuck it through the tiny hole in the opposite side of the doorknob to pop the lock open? If the answer is yes, then you know how easy it is to unlock this butler pantry door without leaving any visible damage. If I can do it, anyone else can. This photograph is the neighbors on the north side of the Ramsey home's view of the butler pantry door. This photograph was taken in the winter. As you can see, there is no foliage on the trees or bushes near the pantry door. This photograph is of the butler pantry door, or butler's pantry. The butler pantry door you saw in the previous photograph is on the left middle of this photograph. The stairs that go up in an angle at the top of the photograph would take you to the basement door and to the front of the house. The straight staircase at the bottom of the photograph, when you are ascending those stairs, will take you to the back hallway, ending directly at the base of the spiral staircase. Please take your time looking at this photograph, as my question is, does this photograph speak to you? Please let me know in the comments section. As an investigator, if you were on scene at the Ramsey home the morning of December 25th, when you walked along the back hallway to the base of the spiral staircase to see where the ransom note was left, then look to your right, this picture is what you would see. Only you would see the real thing. As an objective-minded investigator, you would already know that the family will be investigated, as that is standard practice. At this point, you also know for fact that an intruder could have approached the house without leaving a trace. You also know for fact there is at least 3 potential unlocked doors which would give an intruder access to the inside of the house, and this door is one of them. Without speaking with anyone, you also know for fact that anyone could travel down the stairs and through this short hall undetected. As the stairs are carpeted, the hallway itself is isolated from the rest of the house, is also below grade of the first floor of the house, and no one would see you. If you were careful, no one would hear you either. This is a screen grab from the police crime scene video, the actual crime scene video, taken the evening of December 26, 1996, which gives you a better idea of what a direct path there is from the butler pantry door up the stairs. You arrive at the base of the spiral staircase, and this distance is very short. It would take you like seconds because you can see the stairs to the butler pantry door on the right of this photograph, and of course you can see the spiral staircase there. This is a close-up of the previous photograph. On the left, of course, again, there's the spiral staircase, and then on the right, you see the top of the stairs that lead down to the butler pantry door. As an investigator, as you stand there, you think to yourself, you know that an intruder could access the house. You also know that an intruder could have entered the house through any of the people doors, not confirmed to have been locked the evening of December 25th through to the morning of December 26th. You also know that Jean Benet's bedroom is at the top of the spiral staircase. Therefore, you realize how easy it would be for an intruder to enter the house through the butler pantry door, ascend the stairs, enter Jean Benet's bedroom, snatch the child, then regress, possibly the same way they entered, as at this point you don't know where she is. A good investigator will take one step at a time instead of rushing, as rushing derails the investigation into the ditch, which is what occurred in this case. As law enforcement focused on the parents and the red herring ransom note, which caused them to not apply logic to the crime scene. I will give you a bit of background in regards to the butler pantry door to think about, as in our next episode, we will dispel the myth the house was a maze. The myth Jean Benet wet the bed and the infamous surrounding the ransom note. As you can see for yourself, that the butler pantry door is isolated from the normal traffic patterns within this house. John and Patsy told police the morning of December 25th they were not sure if the butler pantry door was locked or not, as they often forgot about that door, as no one really used that door. This is understandable, as it was Christmas Day. There were children running in and out of the house, playing in the south side yard, which is on the opposite side of the house from the butler pantry door. John was out on Christmas Day, and Patsy was busy wrapping presents, packing for the 2 trips they were going on, then attending to some personal matters. John arrives home. They all get ready to go to their friend's house for Christmas dinner, as they always use the interior door to the garage to exit the house to their vehicle. It is more understandable that no one would take the time to walk down to the often forgotten butler pantry door to ensure it was locked. Please keep those thoughts in mind as I look forward to presenting our next episode, where we will dispel more of the myths. Also, we will discuss some of the tangible evidence in the case. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to all your feedback. Please leave the feedback in the comment section, or you're welcome to email me at your feedback at ybentleydavidson@outlook.com. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's free. Next time, wish you all the best.